Hi guys, I can't believe I'm back. First things first, sorry for being away so long. I've been doing exams and I wasn't in the mood for reading as I had to read a ton of stuff for the exams. However, I haven't forgotten about our little treat. A few weeks ago, I said that I had a ton of reviews to share with you. So we're going to start with one of my favorite books of 2017, even though it wasn't released on 2017. It was actually released before, but I only had the opportunity to read it once it was translated into Spanish. Because in case you know, I'm Spanish. And this book, I even have it in English, which is Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel. You will see the cover in English at some point. But before that, I also want to thank you for all your kind messages, because this month we have reached our second anniversary here on the Ink Path. And in case that you are new, you are in an English video of the Ink Path, which is the literary YouTube channel that I basically created, where I talk to you about books that I've read. I do reviews. I normally don't do wrap-ups, but I'm trying to get into the wrap-up thing. And even though my reading experience this year, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, I really want to share these opinions with you in case that you are new. Of course, if you are new, you can stay and watch this video and subscribe and join the family if you feel like it. You will find my social media profiles in the info box down below in case you want, but we are going to the main thing that is occupying our time today. We are going to talk about Station 11. Ready? Go. So, Station 11 by Emily St John Mandel is a story about how life can change. I'm going to do a little bit of a summary without doing spoilers, I promise. In this story, the world is assisting, well, you assist with one of the characters to a play, and this play, one actor actually dies. So that night, while all these things are happening, illness spreads throughout the whole globe. So that's the first chapter. But from that moment on, the reader, you are jumping from that moment on, which is like our today, to 20 or 30 years after that, where people have learned to live without technology of any kind, because after that pandemic situation, fuel didn't work out, the fuel actually disappeared, there was no electricity, like humanity was almost wiped out of the planet. So the few people who survived had to live in a pre-technological era. So the reader finds here a different society that has to live the aftermath of that, and how that illness affects the remaining society. So here you have a dystopia where there's no zombies, there's no wars, there's only tiny groups of people that are trying to survive. And in that scenery, you have this kind of almost kind of a small theatrical company which only plays symphonical pieces and Shakespeare plays, because they have realized that actually William Shakespeare works are actually the ones that the little audiences want, because they are very universal in sense of feelings and thoughts, and everyone it feels identified with either one character or one plot or whatever. So I like this story because it's not a one protagonist story. You have several characters that create this kind of microscopical environment. So you learn from different characters that at the beginning of the story you don't think they are going to meet. You don't think they are going to know each other, because you are jumping from, I don't know, 40 years onwards and then 20 years backwards and then to the first day of the pandemic, of the illness spread. So it's a really quirky book in the sense of being this kind of disorganized story. But while you are reading it, you are linking every character, you are linking every plot, because at the end of the day, all these characters, the book is about humanity and about what's important in humanity. It's important to have a cell phone. It's important to have an iPod. What is important to you? So that's what is reflected on this story. What is actually important to the people? How do you manage to survive having memories of people that you lost, of things that you almost remember but you cannot grasp it? How you teach the new generations that beforehand there was a thing called Wi-Fi that they don't understand. I feel like, to me, this plot was almost like a kind of multi-perspective film, and I actually can picture it as a TV show, but in a book. In order to do this, Emily St John Mandel masterfully plays with words and little plots and ties every single kind of clue that you may think you have to make the whole plot be one perfect a story of survival. But actually she uses a very, very specific, almost lyrical, or at least lyrical to me, almost lyrical vocabulary. And amazing, what I love the most about this story is the setting, how things change from being like nowadays to be completely forestal, like with woods and almost not electrical, or even human built building around. In fact, it's very, very interesting how, and this is not a spoiler, but it's very interesting how, at least in my opinion, buildings like I don't know, apartments or schools are seen as a threat more than the forest, which is actually, the forest is a more organic ground element of this new society, as for us it was before, like years ago. So I feel like Emily St John Mandel has managed to create this world where you can actually identify reminiscence of your world that you are living now, but also those little elements of like today's world are seen with such fear, and also such as mystification on the other hand, because they are seen from the perspective of some characters as the world they left behind, while for the ones that are living in this post-apocalyptic world is something that they don't understand, so it's something to be afraid of. But I feel like in this story she managed to create this kind of going back to our roots, going back to the nature kind of a story, with the importance of understanding humankind and what is important to humankind through a set of actors who are playing and portraying the most important characters for the theatrical world. Actually, I feel it's a piece of art. This book is a piece of art for me. So, in case you haven't read it, I hope this weird, quirky review gives you at least a little bit of curiosity to pick the book up. And if you have read it, I would love to hear your thoughts about the book on the comment section down below with all the spoilers, so we enjoy the reading experience, the readers and the not yet readers of this story. Oh, and for both of you, I want to ask you one simple question. Which object of your daily life routine now would you choose if someday someone asked you to put it in a museum, and why? Is it important to you? Why? Maybe it's your iPod, maybe it's a notebook, maybe it's a book. Why? Which book is that important? Sorry, which object is that important that you feel like you should place it in a museum so everyone can learn from it and reflect on about it? I hope you enjoyed this video and you had an amazing week this week. Goodbye!